Welcome, my friends, to a lesson about interdependencies. Interdependencies? What does that mean? It means that everything's connected, that things rely on each other. And that's sort of what our story today is about. I really want you to think about your breakfast, or maybe your lunch, or maybe even dinner, or that really delicious snack you had. And was there any bread? Was there cracker? Was there cereal? Was there something that might have come from a grain, like wheat, in there? And did you ever think about where that came from and the people that it took to make that possible? You know, a piece of toast is so simple and oh, so delicious with that melted butter. Oh. But anyway, let's check out this packet of interdependency cards. They're going to show us a lot about where bread comes from. And we'll talk about it too. Where do we get our bread? And I bet you probably know where that bread comes from, right? It comes from the store. Yeah, we find that bread in the store. It's so good, and they make it there too, right? And no, they don't make it there. Oh yeah, that's right. Because don't they make it at a bakery? And a baker would probably make that bread. They're very good at baking bread, right? But yeah, you're right. Where does that baker get the things to make the bread? Probably from a mill, right? A mill. A mill is a place where they grind up the stuff to make bread. They make that flour. It's pretty awesome. But we've got to think about where that flour came from. Where did they get the stuff to make that? You might know that it's the wheat plant, and they probably don't have space to grow the wheat at the mill, so a farmer is going to take care of that. And you might even say we could keep going, right? There's that thing in the sky, the big glowy thing that helps that wheat grow. The sun. Well, but the sun's not a person, so we're not going to include it this time, but it is super important. We wouldn't be able to see this fantastic lesson without it, right? Well, you know, I think there's a lot more going on here. We know that we buy our bread from the store. We know that the bread came from a bakery. We know that the bakery got its flour from the mill, and we know that the mill got the wheat from the farmer. But do you think the farmer took all that wheat, put it on his back, and carried it over to the mill? No, probably not. That would be sort of ridiculous and take a lot of effort. So there might have been somebody who helped out with that. Maybe a transporter, somebody driving a truck that could take all that wheat and a good amount of it over to the mill. Because you know that mill is going to need a lot of wheat to make that flour. And then can you imagine that miller grabbing that bag of flour, slinging it over her back and trying to carry it down the road to the bakery? Never. They probably use a truck too, another transporter to get that load where it needs to go. And I bet you're thinking the same with the bakery, right? Have you ever carried a whole bunch of freshly baked loaves to a store? Probably not the best idea. They're probably going to use a truck as well. How fantastic. But I don't think we're done yet. I want you to think about the baker. Have you ever been to a bakery before? Maybe you haven't. But can you imagine one person running an entire bakery all by themselves? It'd be sort of difficult, right? Maybe they have some help. You know, maybe there's somebody who can make the dough. Be pretty good. Then they can work on managing that whole entire bread making factory. Oh, maybe besides the person making dough, there's a person to tend the ovens. That would be pretty good too. That way, again, we've got a division of labor here. And of course, yeah, you always buy that bread and it comes in something. You don't just carry the bread around. It has a plastic package, and there might even be somebody at the bakery who's packaging that bread. You know, that's quite a few people just on the table already. It's getting a little crowded here, but we could look at the shopkeeper. Have you ever seen a shop run by one person? And I mean like a grocery store. Run by one person. Of course not. There's cashiers. There's people stocking the shelves, working in the back, making sure everything's running well. Oh, customer service. A bunch of people. And, you know, how many people do you think are working in a grocery store? Wow, that's a lot. But you're probably right. And then how about a bakery? Yikes, that's quite a big number. But yes, you're probably right about that too. And then a miller probably has some help, right? A farmer probably has some help. would be very hard to run a huge farming operation as one person. Maybe it could be done. And maybe even the transporters have some help too. Maybe there's several trucks that come and help to deliver those things. There's a lot of people who are involved in getting that bread to you. Or maybe getting your fruit to you, or getting your jeans to you, or the meat, or even the internet. Who knows? There's a lot of things out there, which is why I made you a fantastic sheet full of blank cards so that you could think of your own interdependencies. Maybe there's something else that you'd like to explore. Maybe it'd be worth your time to do a little research on how something is made. Could be cars. Ooh, could be measuring tape. Wow, I wonder how many people it took to make this. Well, I'm very interested to find out, and I bet you will. See you again soon, friends.